Hi, so this is a demo of the GraphQL automation tests, which can be applied to your project as an automation solution. So basically, there is a README file which has the instructions on how to set up this project. So it basically consists of two steps. First, you gotta clone the Git repo, and then you have to execute this command, which will install all the modules and dependencies along with the Playwright automation tool. And then there is the npm script to run the tests in production. Let's dive deeper into it. Right, so the test file is located within the tests folder, and here it is. So it's named the GraphQL spec TS. So let's open it. As you can see, there's not much here because most of the logic is hidden under the hood. So basically what I got here is the assets, like the imports of different methods or classes, right? So then I declare some constants, and here I got my group of tests which are executed sequentially or serially, right? So the first test runs, the second won't run while the first one is not finished running. Okay, so basically this is a demo which shows like how the GraphQL can be automated, and for example it uses the open endpoint for the GraphQL, which is stored in my environment file. So here it is, right? So this is a real endpoint which you can actually check inside your browser. Right, so here it is, and it's got the schema and the docs right here. So about all the queries and mutations which are available here. So you can actually execute it here. So it's a live thing. And this solution can be applied in different environments, right? So here I got just two configurations which represent the production and stage environment. Obviously, I don't have anything here in staging because the endpoint would be the same as the production, but that's like not the case. So you can run tests either in production or in staging or any other environment which you want to use. Okay, so let's get back to our test. There are actually 5 tests which like comprise a flow of creating, updating and deleting an entity within a list. So the entity is a T. Like the first test just gets the list of all available T's. The second one adds a new T, which is defined within this constant. So I use Faker for that. It's like a random data generator. So I add new T here, then I get the newly added T queried by name and assert that it exists. Then I get it from the list of all T's, right, and grab its ID because I'll need this ID to delete the newly added T, which can be seen right here within this test. In order to, implement all this logic, I'm using the helper file, which is basically, I name it the API helper, which contains, a class which I name the GraphQL service, which basically includes all the API methods. And this is something which I call the Playwright native methods of API querying. This function represents an API method which returns the list of T's. Here is the GraphQL query itself. So I pass it as a string. Here's the data format, right? So I also do lots of logging, like log in the request, data and URLs, or log the response status, and the body and headers and all that stuff. And I also do assertions within each of these methods, right? So it looks like more clean and minimized within the test file itself. Okay, so here are all the other methods. So you can check those out as well. And some additional methods like assertions, custom assertions, and of course the login request and response. Okay, so let's actually run this test and see how it looks and how it executes. I'm gonna go by npm run test prod. Okay, so as you can see, all the tests have passed in 4 seconds. And you can see lots of logs right here, right? So let's see what info are we getting. There is the environmental variable which is being passed and logged within the terminal. All of these logs are just for for your own convenience. So this is customizable stuff. So whenever a request is being sent, the log is like colored a specific way in a specific way, and all of the request parameters are being logged into the terminal as well as the response. Right. So for example, here we can see that this is the GraphQL endpoint and this is the request data which we are sending. So we're executing the request, which will return all the T's which are in the list, and we receive a response with a status code of 200 in this case, so it's successful, and we got all the list of T's, right? So as you can see, this is an array of the data which has the ID and name of the T. So here it is. It's a big one. Okay, so this one executed successfully. The next test is actually a mutation. We are adding a new t with a random name, well, with a random title and a description. So with the randomly generated price within this format, right? And this is the ID. Okay, so we've sent this mutation and we are receiving a response with the data which says like that this t has been added. So as you can see, here is the t name and t price. So the next test is where we are getting the new t by name. So we have just created a new t and we're gonna get it by the name. So the name is like this one, tools, and this is the request that we're sending, and we're receiving these t info. So this is the query and this is the response data. So as you can see, the t ID and the t name is here. So we are actually in this request we are asserting that contains the t name. So if you go to API helper and look at this one, at this method, as you can see here on this line, expect to contain this t name. That's how we can check whether a t exists. The next test is all about verifying that the new t has been added to the list and getting this new t ID, right? So you can see it right here. So we are logging it into the console. So here, this is the new t ID, and you can see it is always the last one in the list. So this is new entity ID that we will be passing into the last test, which will actually delete this t. So this is the last test, and it's also a mutation which says like delete t and provide the ID of the t you want to delete. After that, we're receiving a response which says that the delete t is true, which means that the t has been successfully deleted. You can run the same tests on any environment which you desire, which you create the config for. So basically that's how it works. Thank you for your attention.